Hello. Oh no, sorry. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Contra to Republic. It's Latin for something.
And hello, I am also here.
Yes, that is nation. My other I do not know where Matthias is. He hasn't gotten back to me in a few days.
The
So
one and only. Someone, hello, am I still here?
no, you're still here. Sorry.
Okay, I got the warning, low signal or something. So,
Low signal. That's what happens when you have Canadian internet.
or connection issues.
No, it's just
Well,
Canadian internet. They're like, you're probably doing something very hateful, and the government doesn't want you to do it.
I mean, there's no laws against the things I do, so
Probably is.
you don't think they'd want to make an example of me if there were?
You
Like,
probably
I don't
not.
know. Canada's a country that doesn't really screw around with like stuff that way. There was a guy, and he was posting on the Daily Stormer or Storm, one of the neo-Nazi pages, and he was like, saying some pretty intense stuff, and they came after him pretty hard.
No, I got kicked off the Daily Stormer and Stormfront.
How could you be too spurgy for this? That's like getting kicked off a pole or B. Like, geez, that's pretty.
No, I just kept
Hey.
insulting the Soviet apologists, and then I kept insulting neo pagans and saying that that their god literally drinks cum, which is true according to Norse mythology. Thor does drink cum, so to gain power.
Yeah, I know that's true. At least the meme is true. I tried to corroborate that, and I really couldn't. But I mean, I do believe that it was a legitimate thing. It makes sense
I
considering what they
mean,
would get up
I
to.
mean, why is it always like paganism, like Wodenism? Why are none of them like? Why is there like no South American white supremacist Nazis who worship Quetzalcoatl and just like we need to sacrifice children to appease the sun god?
Well, it's because all the neo pagans are faggot larpers, and that's an argument I've made before. I said, look, if you want to be a neo pagan, cool, but unless you're like sacrificing people or animals to your deity, you're not really doing paganism right. And until you start engaging in behaviors like that, you're just larping. You just don't like Christianity, and you want to have some kind of religion because you think it's advantageous to your other beliefs, racially or politically or whatnot, and that's why you're
Well,
larping as a pagan.
just keep in mind, everyone on the far right's like, we need to really consider the neo pagans. I was like looking up like how many neo pagans are in the United States. You want to know what the percentage is?
Yes, but we're not playing the populist game or the democratic game. We're playing sort of the elite thing. So like if you do have a cohort of
That's
neo
a you thing,
pagans who
nation.
are
I fully am a monarcho national. We're not gonna finish that. I was gonna say more
well, the
social.
people the people are the people well, I mean, sure. I mean that's not iffy, but like the people just go along to get along. You don't like base your policies on the people per se or what the people will think.
Nation. I've told you repeatedly, stop her with the fake baby noise tracks. No one believes you.
I don't care what people believe.
I don't either, but Oh, it's Palm Sunday tomorrow.
It is.
I've been going back to church. I was at church last week.
Yeah, good.
I gotta fix my crucifix though. I broke the clasps on it like 18 months ago, and I wasn't wearing it for a while, so I just didn't bother fixing it because I have this bad
Yeah.
habit of fiddling with it. So I just break. I have like at least like at this point like an entire box filled with silver chains.
Yeah. No. When I was in high school, I would like constantly break my cross chain, and I became pretty good at like fixing them. I could like take links from one chain and add it to another and kind of fix the broken ones. But
Um,
now I just try not to break my stuff. So and that works pretty well most of the time.
you don't have a son yet, nation? You're working on making a
Mm.
son?
I mean, I'm doing what I'm doing, I guess.
Ugh. Sadly, you're one of those people to be cursed with like 6 daughters and like one son.
I mean, it's genetic,
You don't,
genetic succession either way.
wow.
What do you mean? Well, I mean, yes, of course you want to have a son. You'd want to have, a bunch of
People,
both
people,
sexes. But it's like, yeah, you know what?
no, I want
Gen-
0 daughters. Daughters are
Mhm.
annoying. Daughters are annoying.
Okay, there, Nick Fuentes.
No, I'm generally speaking like girls from what my experience because I raised several of my siblings because I have a lot of siblings.
Yeah,
Not
but your
the
sib
level large Catholic, like slightly below, like like if you were like the 1800s, but you'd be a small family in the 1800s.
Sure, but I
So
mean, like,
almost a dozen.
I don't know. The whole like women hatred or girl hatred thing is just so
No,
immature.
look, I'll give my actual rational reason. Like, boys can be very destructive and annoying from what my experience of my younger brothers of having to raise them, make sure they don't break shit. But girls, by the time when they turn 18, you just got to deal with the way worse stuff. Like, so boys, when they start getting older, they start becoming more easier to deal with. Girls just get worse as they age. It's more things you got to deal with. Like
It
with
all
the boy,
depends on how you raise them.
well, look, like with my sons, I'm not gonna have to chase anybody off with a shotgun.
Well, unless one of your sons comes home with a guy or a tranny. I mean, then the shotgun might have to come out.
Well, no, or non-white. Non-white will also get a shotgun pulled out. Like,
Sure, sure.
you'd be like, this is my daughter. This is my girlfriend, LaQuisha. I'd be like, it's like, hey, LaQuisha, can you open up that drawer right there? Just the noose is like, yeah.
Yeah, but like, here's the deal, right? You can have the same trouble with like, look, like being a parent's
Oh,
gonna
she's
be
so bad.
difficult, regardless of regardless of whatever sex the child is. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I imagine it gets harder as they age, regardless of their sex, because once they have more of a will and more of their own desires, yeah, there are going to be times where they're going to be where your interests will be at odds, and you have
When I was
to,
hanging out at coffee hour with one of my friends, because there's all these young families, and when I first got to this church, it was all just single dudes, and now it's all just like married people and young families. And I'm like, damn, like I don't like this church as much.
anything political wise happen that's worthwhile.
Tariffs.
Yeah, well,
Why does this show always have to be political? Why is everything with you nation has to be so political? Why are you so political?
because it's a monarchist show.
Does that mean it has to be political?
Is it monarchy and monarchism political?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, then let's talk about non political monarchy.
Uh, we what would I got something. I had something.
So
Uh,
tariffs. What's your view on the tariffs?
uh, yeah, I think that I don't think they're high enough.
I mean, that's the thing. I just don't really care about the whole tariff thing, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is it really doesn't affect me personally, but overall, yeah, I support the idea of tariffs. I support the idea of 100% tariffs on all foreign goods, especially French wine, all French wine and champagne, because America actually makes better wine and champagne.
Well, I beg to differ, but
No, we actually do.
not neither
We
here nor
actually win
there.
every contest, and the French
Yeah, and
just
you're gonna say American beer is better than
no.
European
We
beer.
make terrible beer. Like we
Okay.
make good
Well, okay. You know what?
distilled spirits. We make like good. America has good craft beer, but
Mhm.
like the standard like beer brands in America are awful.
Sure. Okay. Well, you know what? You know what? That's all I wanted to hear. I'm as long as there can be a bit of self awareness that way, country
Yeah,
wise.
but you like to be fair, those were all founded by Germans, so it says something more about German beer than it does American beer.
I mean, I think they just like over like the decades and such they weaken the and like if you look at old American breweries, they used to have like a bunch of different like beers and different like I
We
don't
do
know.
know.
I'm not a beer guy, right? But they had like different kind of
No, we like all the
models or flavors you could buy.
you know the
And
funny thing is craft. You
then,
know who actually just the only good thing Jimmy Carter ever did. The reason there's more craft beer in America than anywhere else.
why?
He deregulated home brewing, so a lot more enthusiasts got into making their own beer and starting beer companies.
Oh, well, that's cool then. Yeah, that's cool. I
We
don't
also
know why you shouldn't be able to like, grow your own
taxes,
tobacco or
taxes.
taxes.
Yes,
Yeah, but like,
it's all
well,
tax.
tax the seeds then.
What?
Tax the seeds then.
Okay.
If you're buying like a tobacco plant or something or tobacco seed, like just tax it then.
Well, yeah, you tax the seed and you tax the sale. We tax everything in America. We love taxing things.
No, but here's the deal though, right? Like if someone wants to grow their own like tobacco and then dry it out, cure it, and do all that, like let them do it. Like 90% of people who like smoke aren't going to do that, so the government's not really going to lose any money, or it's
Yeah,
going to be
but
negligible if they do. So
they
it's like,
might.
oh, that's kind of silly.
Yeah,
Well,
like
hopefully,
like the vast majority of people aren't going to make their own whiskey and distill their own spirits either. But
yeah, I don't. Well, I mean,
you're trying to speak
hmm,
sense to into democratic systems of government.
I know. I mean, I try to at least presume a degree of rationality with political systems, even like
Wait, what are
liberal
Canadian beer?
democracy. But
What the hell is even Canadian beer brands like?
no, we have a lot. I mean, we have a lot of craft breweries as well. They make nice beers and a lot of nice IPAs as well. The Quebecois are really into their craft beer,
I thought they'd be into
and more
wine.
for historical reasons. No, well, you can't grow wine in Quebec.
Well,
It's
not
too
with that
cold.
attitude, you can't.
Yeah, well, unless global warming does us a huge solid, there isn't going to be Quebec wine anytime soon.
Ugh,
No,
that would make them even more insufferable.
I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah, would he be like, oh, now we have? Then you just see a bunch of smug Quebecois walking around drinking wine and
Nah,
smoking.
I get it's more of a beer. It's more they're more beer, which is kind of interesting.
Wait, did the French Canadians really? Did the French really smoke that much? Because from my experience, it's actually Eastern Europeans that smoke more.
I mean, I think the whole smoking Frenchman and like France French more of a stereotype at this point. I mean, I do think they're more liberal in terms of like smoking culture. I do think you can still like smoke in some public places in France, for example, but in Canada as a whole, there's no indoor smoking at all, and it's kind of limited.
You know what the right really needs to start defending. We gave up on
What?
smoking. We need to start repealing anti-smoking laws because those are just completely arbitrary and are
Oh,
stupid.
well,
We
I've
should
thought
be.
I've thought about writing about that more so as a joke that the smokers are the most oppressed minority
They really
and
are
things like
though.
that. But
They really are. Like we need to have in. I'm going to be completely serious. Like in defense of smoking, the attack on smoking is nothing but the really people who are if you've used several ways of looking at it. You could look at it from a more Kaczynski type thing that it's just people engaging in petty power politics, and I would say that's correct. But I would say it's nothing but people who are upper middle class and decadent petty members of the aristocracy trying to impose their high-minded morals on the lower classes, and what a guy who just got off who's just trying to enjoy a smoke or going back to work on his shift.
I mean, there's a few like well, it's a bit different in Canada. Um, like on one hand, you kind of don't want to be, I don't know, you don't want to take a bullet for smoking because like even though I don't really see anything like wrong with it per se. I don't think it's immoral or
What do you
anything.
what do you
It's
some
still not a. Hmm?
stop being some sort of weirdo Protestant Puritan?
I'm not. I literally there's nothing wrong with it. But it's also a thing that I don't think should necessarily be encouraged. Maybe not penalized, but not encouraged either. You don't want to be the guy like encouraging smoking. And secondly, because in Canada we do have a socialized healthcare system, that does unfortunately give the government more power over what it can say or over what it says you can put into your body and these kinds of things.
But they let you put
So
HRT into your body in a bunch. Look, here's the thing, nation. More people probably die of cancer that's unrelated to lung cancer and smoking than anything else.
mhm. I read a study a while back that said that if you live in a city, you're just as likely to get smoke or lung cancer if you're a smoker or if you're not, because there's so much exhaust and it's like benzene or something from industry. Anyways, point is like if you're in a city and you're like in traffic a lot,
Might as
you don't
well
have
start
good
smoking.
yeah, because it's not going to like harm your chances. So
But
I've read those studies too as well, but it's like it's still not
the point
again, still not a hill I want to die on.
the point I'm making is that the whole idea that smokers, like the great evil and the great attack on smoking, and really, this is really
It was
why.
class. It was a class thing.
Yeah, I mean, when it became out of fashion to start smoking, smoke in upper class establishments. Everyone's like, oh no one can smoke now.
Well, I think it's just because like cigarettes became the dominant like form of tobacco consumption, and it was primarily a lower class kind of thing. It's a worker class thing or a soldier kind of thing, you know. And yeah, there were upper class like cigarette smokers, but that was subsumed more by pipe and cigar. And
Well,
it's
no,
funny because the pipe used to be the working man's form of tobacco,
yeah,
but
pre-rolls were actually a bourgeois thing.
but World War One happened, and it was the most cost efficient way to distribute cigarettes. I mean, hence my hence my profile picture there with good old Nicky or not Nicky Willie.
Wilhelm II smoking.
And
You
apparently
know,
Tsar Nicholas too was a chain smoker.
like so we should be looking for the first the king of the United States in like someone who's at a tobacco shop. He's like, this guy should be king. He just smoked 3 packs cigarettes in 5 minutes.
Well, I want the king to live well past his like 50s. So maybe not
You know
that
what's
much,
funny?
but
Every person I know who still chain smokes has never had any health problems. All the most
Mhm.
unhealthy people I know don't smoke.
Well, it's
So
kind of like Winston Churchill too, right? Like he would basically chain smoke cigars or smoked a ton, and he lived to like what 90.
yeah. See, so this
So
honestly, I think this whole idea that smoking is bad for you is literal propaganda, and I'm gonna
literally the biggest L Hitler ever took.
yeah.
That whole World War II thing, the Holocaust. No, no, those don't matter. It's that he wanted to ban smoking.
Well,
That was too far.
well,
It's a joke.
it's like when people vape. It's like I have zero respect for anybody who vapes. If you vape, you're gay. All vapors are
Mhm.
gay. But by default, you're gay. Vaping is gay. Smoking is cool. Smoking cigars is cool. Smoking a pipe is classy. But it's actually smoking a pipe is not easy. I've smoked a pipe. It's like this is very difficult. Actually, it's a very involved process.
Yeah, no, it is rather difficult. I mean, you get used to it though. But would you
Nation,
smoke like a corn cob pipe, like
oh,
good old George Lincoln or?
now more like you probably probably just maybe sometimes, but those ones tend to like if they're not made right, they tend to. I accidentally caught one on fire. I was like, oop, nope, nope, nope.
Oof. Because
I
I
smoke.
want to try. I just want to try making my own at one point. Like that'd be kind of a cool project, but I wouldn't know how to get the stem to it. So I used to
There's
have to like just
probably a
whittle it.
YouTube video.
Yeah, no, that's true. There was this sounds so gay, but I think there was this site back in the day called like the Art of Manliness or something. It was kind of like in the manosphere, like a long time ago, like when Roosh V was still a pickup artist and stuff. And they talked about
Is he
pipe
dead?
smoking. And Roosh? No, he's still. I mean, he just left the internet
Oh yeah, I'm sure he got like he's like happily married and like happy now.
or a monk.
I could see that.
You know what? It's good though. Like, he had a graceful departure from the internet. That's
It took Luke
I
Smith
respect that.
did not there was an interview like, oh, I thought he got brutally murdered in a cartoon. I thought he got brutally murdered by the cartels.
What? Who? Who did? What?
But no, Luke Smith like stopped uploading videos for like 9 months. Right before that, his last video was, "I'm going to a crypto conference in Mexico." It's like
Oh,
everyone's like, "Oh well, cartel's
uh,
got him."
I see. I thought, yeah. Well, no, I think he also was somebody who basically converted and was like, yeah, no, I'm just, what more does the internet have to offer me? You know?
So last Sunday, I forgot to mention it, but it was the anniversary of Terry's passing. So R.I.P.
Oh,
Terry.
yeah, that's too bad.
R.I.P. to the.
Mr. I hope he's by the side of Mr. God.
Well, yeah, with those glow in the dark. See, you know, you really look at a lot of what Terry did, like some of the stuff he was working on. Like there was actually an interview with like one of his brothers because he's from like a very large Catholic family,
Right.
A- and
Wait, Terry was?
yeah,
Oh, really? Huh.
and his father was like a rocket engineer. His brother was like he's being interviewed like all the talking about like all the brilliant stuff Terry was doing when he was younger. It's like
Hmm.
he was creating like this random word generator to generate song lyrics. Like, god damn, if Terry got actual see, this is the point of why I don't like modern society. In a more just society, someone like Terry would be he'd be the eccentric like CEO of like one of the big tech companies. He'd be like, oh, sorry, that's just Mr. Davis. That's just Mr. Davis.
Well,
He's just having one of his moments.
like a few things there, but like imagine if Terry had got his hands on like AI technology and like
Oh,
large language
well, no, he
models.
probably would have said he would probably say that that these LMSs are filled with he'd probably somehow make his own LMS on his own and it'd be better than everyone else's. And it would be like,
Matt,
I'd like to
that
generate pornography, and it just says it instead it just generates like 900 images of the Virgin Mary.
well, no, but like no, I can see Terry like getting into the LLMs and then like adding that to Temple OS, and then he makes the most advanced, best, most efficient LLM there is. But you have to use the Temple OS. That would have been it. If he had lived to this era, he could have made Temple OS the standard if he had jumped on the LLM kind of thing.
Well,
He's like he's like a
he
more
was
competent, better version of Andrew Torba.
pretty
Where
much.
like
I mean,
Torba, he dabbles in everything and excels at nothing,
well, no, he
really.
was the greatest programmer who ever lived, and Linus
Ugh.
Torba is a little
Torba.
no Linus Torba.
You're thinking Linus Torvald.
Linus Torvald. I always thought he was like making fun of Linus Tech Tips, and turns out he's insulting the founder of Linux.
Hey, but as a proud Linux user, I'm
Oh,
appreciating the
not using
kernel.
Temple OS, not using the greatest operating system that's always on time ahead of time.
Yeah, but there's no
God
there's no
doesn't
web
need any of those things.
yes, but I also
Everything is
don't.
Commodore 64. That's as high as you're gonna go with Commodore 64.
That was the peak.
I mean, if you actually like all the stuff he did, my friend told me he's like, no, making actual graphics inside of a command line is insanely hard to do. Like half the things he did is like very like Terry's level of programming expertise. There's probably maybe 100 programmers at Terry's level of expertise.
No, he was like objectively a genius. It's just sad that he got I don't know. He was too smart for his own good, and yeah, you know.
Well, I was talking to my friends who's also a programmer who's an Orthodox Christian who also plays the drums like Terry's like, oh shit, I should go check on him.
uh,
But he's married. There was a woman who like who who he had a crush on YouTube, this YouTuber woman. And now she's suffering from long COVID. I was like, well, that's what you get for not accepting Saint Terry. He would have driven off the CIA mind control spirits from your body.
even oh, who was I thinking of? Never mind. It escaped me.
Yeah. There's actually a good video of him where people took him out to lunch, and he was pretty like when he's talking about like technology, he's like perfectly normal.
Well, except when he says Bill Gates is riding a herd of, like,
But is he
yes, he
not
would.
wrong?
No, he isn't. I mean, I think letting certain people of certain dispositions utilize advanced technology is not really the most prudent thing to do. But
But does Bill Gates have a herd of nigger cattle?
doesn't he? Well, he owns a lot of Africa. He's doing so much in Africa, so
Yeah,
it
so
wouldn't
he
surprise me.
does have a herd. So
I wonder why Terry was racist.
uh, he actually explains it basically. His whole thing was like you're attacking your. It was more of a. He actually had like an actual good explanation of like it's about your heritage and giving up the your birthright of the nation.
Interesting. Okay, that's surprising. I mean,
Like,
because like for me,
he
like
has a manifesto inside of Temple OS.
I guess I have to reboot Temple OS now and read his manifesto. The schizophrenic.
It was schizophrenic. And people will all say all great saints were schizophrenic. Schizophrenia
Wow.
isn't real.
I
And
mean, I don't know. I've been in the presence of schizophrenic people,
well,
and
well, maybe they just need an exorcism.
that's true. No, I don't discount that. Well, not like okay, I don't feel like just thinking like going insane, like yabbering gibberish, but like you do see that the way they process the outside world is different from the way that you process it. It's like just kind of like on that
So
level.
why does that make it wrong?
Well, I mean, if it's outside the bounds of like what is normative for a human, I mean,
I mean, my,
if it prevents them from like functioning in Western or human society, that's not a positive thing.
Western society, we used to have we used to just call that the local town eccentric, and he'd be
Yeah, but the local town eccentric wasn't like deemed as like a normal, admirable person.
yes
Like
he
he was
was.
tolerated, he wasn't like harmed or anything, but he's
No,
not like uplifted
like
either.
my town is the local town eccentric. He's kind of a guy who just rides around town and smoke your pipe. Someone on his bike.
Yeah, well, in the small town that I was from, the same thing. We had a few guys that were a bit different, and you always said hi to them and whatever, but like they weren't like admiral. Like it was. Well, I don't know what like you like. You can have people outside the norm. You don't have to like abuse them or like treat them differently, but you do have to acknowledge them for what they
Psycho-
are.
Psychology is
And
fake. Psychology, modern psychology is fake, and psychiatry is a scam.
okay, but if people can be born with like screwed up limbs or other kind of issues that way, they can be born with mental issues as well. And
No,
like 9 times out of 10, if someone has like a physical disability from birth, they probably also have a mental disability as well. Since 80% of the genome codes for the brain, if someone's born with a physical disability, there's a high chance they'll have a mental disability as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying they've like inherited some guilt or anything. But like, you have to be aware of that. You have to like, do the best you can for these kinds of people.
most
You
disorder,
can't like,
most disorders are fake. Oppositional defiance disorder is fake. 90% of mental disorders are fake. ADHD is fake.
well, I have no problem like saying that or whatever.
Depression
I mean,
isn't
like,
real.
I don't know, like, well, yeah, but they're really depressed and kill themselves too, right?
People, you're in you okay? Well, that's just the national pastime of Canada now, is killing yourself.
Yeah, but that's not. But you know what I mean.
I
It's
mean,
like, look,
because I don't like
look, look, look,
Andrew
look,
Tate, he's
look. Yes,
completely
no,
correct
but
on depression. It's like just don't be depressed.
Andrew Tate's a faggot. Like,
But
oh,
it's,
here's the deal, right? Sometimes I get a bit depressed, and when I say to my wife, "Oh,
you want to cry about it, nation? You to
no,
cry?
that no," and I say, "Oh," and then I like mock myself. Oh, I got the sads. Oh, you got the sads? And
Well,
I say
so
to
do
my
I.
wife, I know, and I say to my wife, "Hey, if I ever like depressed or mopey, just say, oh, hey, faggot, you got the sads." I tell her to say this to me, right? And it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna be sad. I'm gonna actually be a positive Polly and truck on through life like I'm meant to,
Yeah,
right?
being
You know?
being black-pilled is for homosexuals and women.
Sure, but I mean that's the whole point, right? So like on one hand, yes, like I do agree that like probably like 80 to 90% of people who are diagnosed with oppositional defiance or all these kinds of things, it's probably just
Oppositional defiance sort of sounds like something you'd make up in the Soviet Union.
well, it sounds like a thing like a woman would make up to like oh you're not behaving like I don't know. Again, like I concur, right?
Well, well,
But like,
most women suffer from BPD, or honestly, psychology should only all psychologists should be men and be
and
priests.
Jews.
No, and priests. All
Yeah, no,
if
no,
you
no.
want to be a psychiatrist, you'd have to be an ordained priest, have a medical degree. So you're going to school for good,
Well, and that's
good
what
like.
I think it was Saint Luke of Sevastopol. He was like a psychologist by trade, and he would give his patients holy water. And if they freaked out or wouldn't drink it, he'd give them to a priest, right? Like, stuff like that. Like, I do believe you can have like, I don't know, like
No more secularizing medicine. All hospitals are required to have a priest on staff.
they used to. Many still have a chaplain.
No priest.
But if you're in Canada, your chaplain might be a Hindu.
Well, yeah, I would that you're
Yeah.
probably gonna get a bad infection if you let a Hindu chaplain touch you.
Can you imagine that? Oh yeah, I'd like to see a chaplain. Oh hello, sir. How are you feeling today? Oh no. Have we spoken to our Lord Vishnu today? You should talk to Vishnu.
Unironically, I fully support Pakistan and Afghanistan performing a jihad against all Hindus. I hate that religion. It's a nasty religion.
I made a similar. I mean, Pakistan's a disaster too, but I did make the argument that Pakistan, like that Islam did better civilize the Hindus in a way. That Islam was a civilizing force on the Indians because Hinduism is just so
It is
degenerate. And you know what the kicker is? Modern Hinduism is like gross and disgusing even
even
still.
more.
But like when the British came, it was a lot worse. They were doing like, oh man.
The Thuggee
Ugh.
cult that was destroyed by the British. Widow burning, that was a big thing in India.
And they like literally like, anyways, Hinduism's bad. Modern Hinduism is still bad despite what Pajam might tell you on the internet. Like it's all
Well, we're not going to ride the Kali Yuga and something. Not Savitri Deval. Someone, come on.
No, that's all Aryan paganism, because the Aryans essentially colonized that area of the world. Then they left or interbred with them, and what we have now is sort of this sort of deranged, degenerated form of in ancient Aryan religion.
Mm.
I mean, that's not really controversial. The Hindus themselves say, oh yeah, back thousands of years ago they were conquered, and then they imposed the caste system on them, and then just once the Aryan
Indians are truly a servile people. Like they've literally never ruled their own country. It's always been ruled by foreigners.
I mean, at some point, either the foreigners interbred with them and like they joined them, kind of like the Brahmin caste. But I mean, I don't know. You just like you see how they you see how they act.
What was that one Muslim adventurer who like went to India and just said that they were called them savages and saying that women are whores? I think that was actually Muhammad when he went to India. He basically said
I don't think Muhammad didn't go to India.
Okay, it was this one like traveling like
that's
like
do the Indians have polygamy though?
Huh? India? Yeah. Hinduism. There's nothing against polygamy in Hinduism. They just don't do it.
I see. Probably because they're under the British, but
well, no, it's because if you want to have sex with another woman, in true Indian culture, you just go find a unwilling or willing tourist. India's the gang rape and rape capital of the world, by the way.
And yet you have people still wanting to vacation there. What's that tell you?
Dumb white women from the 70s. If you want a better experience, I would recommend Thailand. Indonesia is a very beautiful country from my friends who've been there. Singapore, Tibet.
I mean,
Mongolia.
well, Tibet's China, but like I don't know, Singapore and those
China, but we
it's currently occupied or whatever.
I do not support the existence of China.
Okay, yes, but they're still under the geopolitical entity known as the People's Republic of China. So you just
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
accept
I
it.
mean, the Jewish created People's Republic of China.
Yes, but I mean, if you want to go to Tibet, you'll technically be going into China. You'll get your passport signed by the Chinese guards. So like it is what it is.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure that I'm sure the Chinese China is somehow what China has done is worse than America with being a cultural slum.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like that Tibet is under
I,
Chinese
I,
control,
I'm
and
just trying to be argumentative. I'm
mm.
just I'm just
I
arguing.
mean, one is able to dislike China and America equally, but for different reasons.
Well, I thought you guys were a colony of the CCP.
Yeah, but doesn't mean I like that.
Oh,
And I don't
I've
know.
never
It's
I've
like
never
we
I've
take
never got.
Chinese money and then we bend over backwards for India. It seems like, or basically like,
Honestly, I think I'd probably prefer the Chinese because at least the Chinese are just there to make money. Indians are there and they still have like affordable, like they always want like affordable like restaurants. Like
well,
it's
and
always the
that's always
cheap.
that was always my argument with like the Chinese too as well. It's like at the end of the day, they just they're the Jews of East Asia. They want their money, they want this, they want that, but they're not necessarily here to destroy your culture and impose like foreign values on you. And again, like
Yeah,
I'd rather Canada.
Indians like to think they're the Jews of East Asia. They're not. They're the gypsies of East Asia.
The Indians are just like
The gyp.
they're such a debased people
Yeah.
where all they care about is like like sex, you know like superficial displays of wealth and superficial
Mm.
recognition. And
You
it's like
Congratulations, you've just described Romani.
well, I've also described like the worst elements of Negro culture in America as well.
Well, Reagan was right. Well, there's at least some sort of sex. There's at least something like some sort of primal there. But the Indians, the most sexless people on the face of the planet.
Well, he was just saying their women were very ugly, which
They
I mean,
are ugly.
well, I'm
Indians.
not. Yeah, I'm not throwing shade on Nixon. I'm just saying though, it's like I don't know. It's like out of all the people that go into bed with, demographically and like diplomatically, like why are they Indian? Anyways,
Could you
it's
imagine?
because they have a
You
billion
imagine
people, and a
like
billion people means great GDP and line go up, and blah blah blah. And that's kind of why we look at India
yeah,
and
but
like
everything's
China.
going to break though. Like the
No,
Chinese
I know,
can
no,
like
I know that, but
like the Chinese can like if you look at like Chinese like game developers, at least though like there are things maybe stealing your data and sending it back to the glorious CCP, but at least it actually works.
I don't think any of my articles say anything bad about China. So if the Chinese do take over the world, I think I'm probably okay.
I mean, I don't want to. They're not going to because that's not the
No, no,
Chinese
they
way.
won't. They won't.
The
No.
Chinese have never been like wanting a colonial empire. They just want all trade to go through the region. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing.
They
That's
want to
the
be the Middle Kingdom.
yeah. I mean, it's they're terrible soldiers though. Like they are. They literally like "Oh, we don't need a military. We have economy.
Have they ever won a war? And then like their civil wars last like 20 years.
Well, no, the civil wars last
Like
20 years and usually kill 10 to 20 million people. So it's
like
like
I mean I'm not like here's the deal, right? Like there are a lot of aspects about Chinese history and culture that I really do like respect and everything. But there's just so many other aspects that are so like debased and degenerate where it's like, like they're really like a dualistic people in certain respects. I mean, like even before communism, there's like really good positive elements of like Confucian culture and those kinds of traditions. That's like also this degenerate stuff too as well. And it's kind of like so I don't know, like
what not having not your the emperor not dying and then causing a civil war that kills 100 million people.
dude, if I was emperor, I'd want billions to die when I died. It'd be sort of like
Billions must.
I'd be like an Egyptian pharaoh, right? Where it's like, okay, well, I want like all my servants and stuff to come to the afterlife, so you better kill those people. I mean, I'm kidding,
Okay, so,
obviously,
so
but
you're Emperor Terracotta. Do you want
sure.
is the word
No,
lesson?
but his little clay soldiers to yeah. But you know what?
You
He was just no. He was just a big fan of ancient Chinese Warhammer, and those were his minis.
you,
And he
you,
wanted he wanted his
you,
minis
you
so
know
that when he got to heaven, he could.
you can't spend too much time in his tomb because it's heavily polluted with mercury because he just had rivers of mercury running through his tomb.
Well, that was a thing too that I heard discussed where they found like these old balls of wine from Byzantium, and they were so like infected with like lead and stuff. And their argument was that, well, yeah, back in the day, like people just had a stronger resistance to like chemicals like lead and mercury, so they could like take these high dosages and be fine.
No, that's actually what killed the first emperor of China. He was trying to find eternal life, so he just drink random things like concoct.
Well, you the funny thing is about that, right? Either all you need is one of those substances to be right, then all the others don't matter. But if you're not, if none of them, then you're screwed.
Yeah, you drink one, you
Uh,
like die, you're like, hold on, you find the elixir of life, like I'm good now.
oh, you got cuttlefish.
Uh, uh,
Anyways, yeah, no, no. So like Chinese culture, it's like, and then it's like been so bastardized by like
Maoism.
communism, and I know it's like the Maoism destroyed some of the best parts of like of Chinese culture
They're
and
still
everything.
doing it, though, by the way. They're still fucking up the
They are
beautiful.
to a degree, but they aren't as well. I don't know. It's a mixed bag. I don't know. It's like I don't know, all the good things, but like all the old cultures are like gone at this point. It's like no, I don't want to listen to the gay Douglas Murray. I watched this entire thing. I mean, you just want to like discuss his points or whatever that he makes.
I mean, yeah, we can. I mean, if we, I think
I
Moe
mean,
won.
yeah, I mean, I just think because like the other I don't know the other guy at all, right? Because I've read The Strange Death of Europe and like that anyway, which is a fairly good book, right? Well, I mean, I just think that Murray, he's essentially an expert, which is kind of a wrong thing to say considering their whole expert discourse. But he's like an expert on like Jewish or Israeli like cope lines about history between them and Palestine. And it's like he can like, recite all these things and say all these things. And of course he's gonna win because he has all these kinds of, these points. But I don't really I
No,
don't know. It's not
I think
interesting.
Dave is legitimately. He made a bunch of other good points about like you can't play fast and loose with. Oh, I'm a comedian. I'm not a historian. I am a historian. I'm not a historian. He's basically saying Dave engages in pill pull constantly, which he does anytime he engages in argumentation. And
I
literally,
don't know the other guy, so I can't like speak to him
he
there.
is he's the homosexual lover of this Scott Horton. Scott Horton being a guy who's a libertarian, Maoist pretending to be a libertarian.
Wait, are you
Who
saying both of them are gay?
no, I just call everyone I don't like a homosexual.
Okay, well, but Dulles Murray is actually gay and married to a Jew. Oh, air quotes, married to a Jew.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You know Dulles Murray's gay?
Nah, this might
Oh,
come
dude,
off
he's
as
super
gay.
gay. No,
He's really
no. Well, he's super gay, and his
so
whole
he's
like
gay in a very Anglo way, like so you're not really gay.
he's like Milo Yiannopoulos. He's Milo Yiannopoulos gay. Like he's the kind of guy who was saying that all churches should change, all this stuff should change, or Islam is bad because they don't like gays. Like
Okay,
a lot of his kind of political views, and he's like an atheist too, right? Or maybe agnostic. He's just like a weird like he wrote The Strange Death of Europe, which was a good book because it spoke about like the issues of mass immigration and the issues with Islam, which I all agree with, obviously. But then it's like, oh well, mass immigration, Islam is bad because we have Jews in Europe, and we have to protect the Jews and these kinds of things. And I don't know, it's just like he doesn't really he has a very warped view of Western civilization, Western society. He has the belief that Western society is somewhat evil because of its history of anti-Semitism and this and that. And he promotes sort of this Jewish kind of centric view of Western history, wherein Europe and America are good to the
well,
degree in which they support Israel, and because we currently support Israel, we're it's just like this,
isn't he a bit old? Isn't he a bit young to be? isn't Moraes only like 40-ish? He's been young to be a boomer, isn't he? He
You
sounded
know, to
like
be a boomer, to be a Zionist. There are a lot of young Zionists. I mean, to the chagrin of, well, not the chagrin, but to the shame of like Christianity as a whole. I mean,
I
we
don't
see a
really think
lot
there is
of,
very many young Zionists.
I don't know. I've encountered a few of them.
Well, yeah, they're just trying to get a job at National Review.
Dude, I would like call myself a bisexual if I get a good job, but like it still
What a
doesn't.
job you
You
don't
know.
you'd work at National Review or like the Manhattan Institute or the Hoover Institute.
I mean, if I had the credentials,
You do
and
actually have the credentials, nation.
well, maybe I should. Maybe I don't know. Like
You're like,
you don't want to
if
sleep for
I had the
agent.
credentials, I have a master's degree in theology, history, and political
Hmm.
science. Like that's what most people at the Manhattan Institute have.
Well, maybe I should become a sleeper agent then. I don't know. Like, 'cause here's the deal, though, right? Like, I look at a lot of those groups fairly apolitically because, at the end of the day, they're dealing with like real politique. I mean, ideally, I know there's a lot of ideological like bleed and garbage that way, but I don't know. It'd be cool to be like,
We need to get the Theo money. This podcast 100% will take all of the Theo money.
well, because here's the deal, right? Once you have, okay, let's say you were given like $1 million, right, with certain stipulations that you couldn't attack this group, or this group, right? Or
I
you
take,
can't do
I
this,
take
and
it. I
this, right?
take it and do it anyways.
Yeah, but that's how you get shot or something, right? Like, 'cause I wrote I
I
wrote
don't
an
think
article
Peter
called,
Thiel's gay homosexual army of gay faggots.
well, I wrote an article called "The Jews You Win," right? And in that, I sort of said that, well, given the current like power structures, you're probably not going to like get influence or go too far if you're like overtly anti-Semitic or you oppose sort of these pro-Semitic views, right? And I said to a degree, it makes sense to sort of attempt to use those kinds of groups that have power for your own ends and to the ends of your interests and to your people, right? And I
Uh,
mean, I know that's like a thing people don't want to hear, but like my case point was looking at these two SS guys that ended up working for Mossad. And to them, it was more of like a service of power thing. They saw that, okay, well, we lost the war. Clearly, the Jew is the stronger power. Therefore, we're going to work for them and this and that. But it's like, I don't know, there's a degree to which there's a bit of like wisdom. And I can respect someone who's like, well, you know what? I'm just going to serve power for the sake of power. But that kind of, ties into more like the pagan nature of these kinds of things. But I mean, again, there is sort of like underlying truth, like a thread of truth that kind of connects it all, I find. So it's like, look, if someone said, hey, I'll fund your operation and I'll do this and that, but here's what you have to do. I mean, depending on what I'm told to do,
nah,
I'll
nah,
uh,
nah,
I'll
nah.
look at it.
Peter
But
Thiel
I
doesn't.
mean,
Peter Thiel doesn't have enough money to buy me.
yeah, but like,
I am one expensive whore.
but it's not even about being a whore. It's that like, I don't know, like,
Nation. Like even this podcast was popular enough to start getting the Thiel people. And I would have the meeting with Thiel. I'd record it, and I'd simply give him a very long lecture about how he's a disgusting homosexual and he's going to burn in
yeah,
hell.
but you'll never win that way.
I will.
How will you win?
The same
Like,
way that. Okay, the Iron Guard's not a good example. It's a good example of
well, the Bolsheviks are a good example.
I mean, yeah, they basically played everyone. They're actually surprisingly hard. They played everyone against each other.
Well, that's why I recommend everyone read Lenin. I'm not a Leninist.
Lenin.
Lenin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this person,
No,
Lenin.
no, but here's the deal, though, right? Though, like if you're serious about sort of these kind of radical politics and possibly revolutionary politics, why wouldn't you read Lenin? You don't have to be a communist. Like the guy succeeded, right? So if you want to like kind of learn from success, well, it makes sense to look at like
You can
those
also
who won.
read Mussolini. So
Same thing too, as well. But I mean, Mussolini also didn't last. So I mean, his government, and I know it was conquered and this and that. I mean, you also read Mein Kampf too, as well, because Hitler won as well. But I
neither
mean,
did
like,
Lenin. Lenin's government didn't last. It was subverted.
Well, it took like what, 40 years,
No, it
50
took like
years.
not really.
I mean, the point is, I mean, his success was in overthrowing
Stalin
the Russian
Stalin
Empire, anyways.
completely subverted the communists and created whatever you call
No, it's
Stalin.
because Lenin didn't have a successor
You
like
did.
groomed or picked up.
It was actually
Who
Trotsky.
Trotsky?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Stalin was able to outmaneuver Trotsky. The point is, Lenin's death came somewhat suddenly, and he
Well,
couldn't.
just take one look at Trotsky. No one fall. That
Yes.
guy is one ugly motherfucker.
Yeah, well, you think Stalin's sexy? Come on.
He is.
Oh yeah, you have sex with Stalin on your Steam account, don't you?
Probably.
I feel like that guy from Inglorious Bastards. The guy's like, you have Jews under your floorboards, yeah? You have sexy Stalin, yeah? I don't know. Anyways, point is, Lenin was able to overthrow the Tsarist government, right? Which is a horrible sin, and apparently on his deathbed he was like screaming in agony and terror, which probably doesn't mean he had a good end to his life. So like, I'm not saying we should be like Lenin, but in regards to politics and these kinds of things, there is things that one can learn. So
No, you got to be
and
like
that's
Lenin, and then you got to be like Stalin when securing power.
I mean, it makes sense.
No one challenged Stalin. Like Stalin after, like basically,
Which is so weird, eh? Because like any Beria could have just like killed him in his sleep and all these kinds of things.
well,
It's like
the
but
thing is, everyone had all the dirt they needed on Beria. Beria was a degenerate, a pedophile,
no, he was. But I'm just
murderer.
saying he could have.
Like Beria is the perfect example of the type of person who'd be Stalin's little whipping boy.
It's true, actually. But I'm just saying, like, there were times to where you could have gotten rid of Stalin.
Yeah, like
But
Laurentiy Beria, as soon as he heard of Stalin's death, should have stolen all the gold he could and left.
that's true.
Like who thinks like, I've murdered like over 100 women, and I've also repeatedly sexually assaulted a bunch of women.
Yeah, no, like I'm not. Yeah, like he was. I mean, he got what he deserved. I mean, even the Soviets, he got what he deserved. Like they executed him, obviously. So
no one else ever saw it coming.
no,
You
it's
thought
funny.
you think it'd be more like Zhukov who'd take over for Stalin.
But they did their best to like jam him up. Yeah, they accused him of profiteering from the war. They said he stole German things, and
He probably did.
Yeah, no, I think he took a German.
Probably everyone did, though.
Well, I mean, the Soviet Union's thing and stole the German factories. They took the country over and they like literally brought the factories back to the Soviet Union.
And
so
lot of rape.
Sure, the Mongolian soldiers weren't most controlled, but
most
anyways,
of the Soviet leaders, most of the Soviet divisions going into Germany weren't Mongolian.
they were by the end of the war because they had exhausted a lot of their.
No,
but anyways, there was. But you were right. There was a lot of.
Most of it was Slavic. Like a lot of the other most of the other divisions were like. I mean, maybe like somewhat, but do you know how long it takes to like train up a division of like Tajikistanis or get them to Moscow? Long ass time.
And they had trains and so anyway, neither here nor there. Anyways, next subject.
We still got off this objective.
Douglas Murray. Well, I don't know. It's like, here's the deal, right? There are a lot of these commentators who, during a particular time, or for a specific issue, I like to hear what they have to say. They can provide for me some insights.
Well, no, the whole point of the whole debate, it shows the uselessness of debate of people who pretend to be like, oh, I'm a comedian. Oh, I'm not a historian, who don't really know what they're talking about. But the general mainstream discourse and like actual mainstream like idiots have been dumbed down so much that someone like Dave Smith is like a genius compared to someone like Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon. But if you like when he goes up against someone who actually knows what he's talking about on geopolitics, away, he basically gets trounced because he just shows like how much of a little dick weasel Smith is, because all Smith's ideas are just literally just regurgitated of Russian and Iranian propaganda.
The Russian and Iranians are based, though, incorrect.
No, they're not.
Death to the Zionist entity.
Here's the whole thing why I don't really care for anti-Zionism is because it's just third world is trashy. Like BAP is gay as shit, but like it is third world trashy nonsense. Like you're just a third world is trashy nonsense person when you say it. Because again, the complaints about Zionism is like, oh, it's colonialist, it's imperialist. I'm like, that's
no, it's that America like funds Israel like billions of dollars, and same thing with Europe, especially Germany, for like the blood libel that is the Holocaust. It's like the state of Israel holds power over America, and it has no reason. Like
this ally, I think you're just being anti-Semitic.
I don't care. I was going to say. Well, I was going to say some things that are ban-worthy and probably crime-worthy. Actually,
no. Israel's our greatest ally.
We love the Zionist entity. They're so.
We love Israel.
Here's the deal, right? No. Here's the deal, though, right? Like I support Israel to the degree that I don't want Jews in my country, and I don't think there should be Jews in Europe or America, wherever else, right? So they can have Israel
because they're our greatest ally.
Sure, yeah, that's fine. You can suck up to that. It's fine. But for me, it's like, the Jews in Israel, they don't treat the Christians very well. Bethlehem used to be a Christian city, and now it's like essentially depopulated and only like, Jewish and Muslim now, right?
You want to know something that make you really mad? Whether Jesus was baptized now a minefield.
You know what? I hope that my baptismal site becomes like a nuclear site. No, I'm just I'm kidding. But it's like, look, like
no, the point I'm making is
no, but I stopped being a Zion because I was a big Zion. I believed all the evangelical stuff too, right? But then I looked at how the Jews treated Christians in Israel, right? Because it's one thing to say, okay, well, you know what, a Christian visits Israel and goes on pilgrimage and does all this stuff, and it's like great, and they're treated well and blah blah. That's cool, right? But when you have like ethnic Christians, right? And I say ethnic because they've been Christian for like, almost 2,000 years. We've had Christians there, like right after the time of Christ. And the way that the Jews the Jews treat them no better than they do the Muslims. But the only thing is the Christians don't engage in terrorism like the Muslims do. And that's why there's kind of that, like there's a difference in treatment there to that degree. But they still try to force the Christians out of their land. They still take Christian properties.
They're really failing at that, though.
I mean, they're doing pretty good. I mean, yeah, they don't destroy like the Holy Sepulchre and these other kind of
the
sites,
Christian population of Jerusalem and all those cities actually all through conversion and births. It's just on the rise.
What? Who are they converting? Jews or Muslims?
Both.
Because there might be some conversion here and there, but like they're facing so much like pressure and antagonism. It's not really like working out that well.
Israel, like is mainly a secular country, really. Like a lot of it's not like this religiously extreme. If you go to when people I know have gone to like Tel Aviv, if you go to Tel Aviv, you're basically fucking
Israel, they don't when they're doing mathematics, they don't have a plus symbol because it resembles a cross too much. They are they might say they're secular, but they're secular in like the Soviet sense, where it's like especially targeted against Christianity. They might not, go out of the way to kill Christians, although they have. There are instances of Israel.
I'm not trying to argue for the state of Israel. The point is that Muslims actually do mass murder Christians on a regular basis. Those regular persecutions of Christians in Syria, Lebanon, not in Lebanon as much, but Egypt, Iraq, Iran.
But the question is who by? Because if you go back to the time, like, because there are times when Jews had powers, they massacred Christians too as well, right? And like, yes, ISIS does massacre Christians. I'm sure Al Qaeda massacres Christians too, right? But during the whole ISIS thing, when ISIS was being like insane, Hezbollah defended churches and defended Christians, right? So I feel like, and they were primarily Orthodox Christians in Syria who they protected. So like to some degree, I feel like
So we have to be pro. We have to be pro. We have to be pro people who think it's okay to go in and shoot 1,800 people for literal no reason.
Okay, a lot of those deaths were
No,
part
they
of
weren't.
the what Hannibal thing or whatever they have, where it's better to be
No,
shot
that's
dead
not.
than
All of that is again
that's
Iranian
literally no,
Charlie propaganda.
that's literally from what Israel's like. That's from Haaretz. I quoted Haaretz talking about
Haaretz
that.
Haaretz is
It's
literally
literally a
is
Jerusalem
it is
based.
literally the equivalent of the of some. It's literally some bleeding heart liberal publication. Got to use the
Well, it's
Times of
still
Israel.
Jewish. They still don't have
It's
what? Okay,
it's basically the equivalent of quoting BuzzFeed. It's Israeli
well,
BuzzFeed.
if I can't quote an Israeli source talking about Israeli issues, I mean, what?
There's
Like,
better Israeli newspapers. I'm just saying, which I don't read. But
yeah, well, the point is, it's like, look,
the point is,
Hamas or
I'm not going.
Hezbollah. Look, I'm not going
Hezbollah
to carry
is a
water
violent terrorist organization. Israel is
that protected my people.
You're not Lebanese. I am actually Lebanese.
I'm an Orthodox Christian, and they protect Orthodox Christians.
Well, no,
Like, I'm not going to join their fight. I'm not going to go on
well,
their
why
side.
they have
But
some pretty
I
sweet
feel
uniforms. I'd consider them. They give you cool headbands.
I feel a particular
You
affection
don't
and
want to
affinity
join
towards
people.
them
You're not
because
going to
they
join
didn't
people with cool headbands and sweet music videos.
because they protected Christians when they didn't have to. No one in the Middle East would have given a darn if they could have stinking assisted ISIS and killed all the Christians for all it mattered to Hezbollah. Yet for whatever reason, they sought to preserve the Christian populations in those regions for a time. And
But
I mean, like,
the point I'm making, and
that's why I won't condemn them.
I
That's
don't condemn
essentially it.
them either. It's just that I don't have to agree with either Israel or I don't have to choose between Hamas or Israel.
I'm speaking specifically about Hezbollah, but like
Hezbollah fucked up Lebanon as well. They killed large amounts of Christian during the Lebanese civil war, which they caused. Screw the Fakistinians. They are literally worse than the Jews. They basically go around the Middle East screwing up and destabilizing the country. The Egyptians hate them. The
who do they
Jordanians,
hate? Who?
the Palestinians. They're
Oh, I'm not talking about Palestinian. I'm
that's who
speaking
makes
specifically
up.
about these organizations, but
Yeah,
no, a
but
lot of
again,
Lebanese are pro Hamas.
they're not pro Hamas. The Muslims are
Or
because
sorry, pro Hezbollah.
those people
Like,
aren't Lebanese. There's a shit ton of Palestinians who flooded in because the Christians were
Palestinians are Sunni. Hezbollah is Shia. It would make no
Palestinian
sense for Palestinians to become Hezbollah.
Palestinians are not a real ethnic group. They're a made-up ethnic group by Arab nationalists to make a land
Okay,
claim.
well, what else would you call? Okay, so
I would call them Arabs. They're Arabs.
that region's been called Palestina, right? And then that area became the British Mandate of Palestine. And then you
And
have
that's
Arabs
not
that have
what
been
we
living
call
there
it.
for like 500 years
And no, they have
or
not.
whatever.
Before that, it was mainly not really, in like the
Well, it was like, if you
in
want
the
to argue,
10th
it's all
century is
Greek.
more Greek.
Sure. So what are you arguing for? Because, like, okay, you
I'm
can besmirch
arguing the
Palestine.
third position.
Because I would say that, you know what,
You,
at the very least, it's better that the Holy Land be occupied by Gentiles than Jews, anyways.
no, what
Like,
I'm
just
arguing,
a
I'm
purely
arguing
pragmatic.
embracing the third position, which no one seems.
So make it the Kingdom of Jerusalem again.
Yes, that's pretty much it. That's basically my.
Well,
argument.
I mean, I'm not gonna counter signal that, obviously.
But
But it's like but that's not gonna happen.
My point is what what is the to use a Hoppian term. So to quote Rothbard when he's talking about economics, so it's an economic term, really. What is the marginal utility of us caring about the fate of two different groups of people who at their very core would gladly mass murder Christians if they could get away with it? The reason Hezbollah doesn't
both of them would.
Yeah, like what is the marginal utility of that? There isn't. Like, here's the thing.
Yes, but it matters because our countries have essentially mutual defense pacts with one particular state and we are for whatever reason kind
Yeah,
of
but
bound
that
to
doesn't
that.
mean I have to start crying about a bunch of dead Palestinian children. That's like,
No, but it
uh,
necessarily involves us.
yeah, it does.
And I think if we're supposed to be the ally to one of those parties, then we should expect we should expect the party we're allied with to be of higher moral character than
I
the
do,
other.
I don't believe in nation. I like my view of waging war and how we wage war now. It is completely at odds with, like, I actually think Israel isn't brutal enough. I think Israel should kill everyone in Gaza, because there would be no more problems from Gaza. You would solve the problem. It's a horrible thing to say, but that is my
Well,
view of.
then Palestine should exterminate all the Jews in Israel. Then,
Absolutely. That is the point
yeah.
of war. The point of war is to destroy your enemy outright so they can no longer threaten you.
So then you're siding with the winning side. Then,
I don't side with either side because I don't think either side is in my interest. But the point is, like, when
well,
it
then
comes,
but that's my position. That's why I argued in the Tale of Two Heathens that at the end of the day,
I
since
know I
both
did read
sides
that
are
article.
antagonistic, it doesn't matter. I'm just
It's a good
kind of saying
article.
more for posterity. Um, that you like
But the point I'm
you
saying
know
is,
like
like,
I don't support Hamas, right? Like when they did their stupid misadventure on October 7th, that was like stupid. Like strategically, tactically, what'd you accomplish? Oh yeah, you got your entire country essentially destroyed, your entire region destroyed. Fantastic, good
sweet
job,
photo
good
ops.
job.
Sweet photo
Yeah,
ops.
right, sure, but it's still
Like, they were
them
pretty they
coming
were
with like
pretty cool
with
photo ops,
balloons.
like with the gliders and shit. They looked really cool for like good, like, 30 seconds.
Yeah, and then they got their entire like country destroyed essentially, and that's the thing, right? So I don't support Hamas, right? But it's also like I don't know, like
But
I
the
just don't
point I'm
care. Like
making,
I don't
the
want to care
the
about
reason I
Israel,
bring
the
up
Middle
people like
East.
Dave Smith and Murray is, like, a lot of these libertarians and dissident right types literally just start sounding indistinguishable from Maoists as, like, the poor Palestinians, the poor this. But and BAP is retarded, like the Bronze Age pervert
Well, I don't
types
I
are.
don't follow. I've never
No, no,
followed
look,
anything by
let me
BAP.
let me finish. Let me finish, Nation, before you interrupt me. What I'm saying is the BAP and Bronze Age perverts are going to scream about the Bronze Age vitalism, and, like, you should form a war band and take women and children, which, funny enough, the Palestinians did do. But both sides, like, they don't actually support that. Like, they don't actually support that type of behavior. It's just something. When it comes to Israel, it's like, it's different. But the point is that everyone is just fool. Everyone is just trying to push a different group of propaganda, and it shows you when Murray actually has an actual worldview of things he doesn't compromise on, and Dave is just a propagandist. What happens when a propagandist meets someone of principle?
Well, Dave, if that again, I'm nothing but the other guy. It's like the thing is right for me. I'll go anywhere, right? Like I don't care at this point, right? Like if something is true and correct, I will espouse it and hold it as my own belief, right? Where it's like the Dave guy, right? He wants to criticize Israel and this and that and blah blah blah, but he can't actually look at like Jewish behavior in say Russia or the Soviet Union or in Germany or in Europe as a
Well,
whole.
well,
Like
well,
he won't pursue these things, right? Because he can't be an anti-Semite. He can't look
because
into
he's a
racial
Jew.
issues. Well, oh yeah, he was. He said that, didn't he? Yeah, of course. But there you go. And he's a libertarian, right? So you have all these people who are like, they sincerely
Well,
believe what they believe, but they don't value the truth. They don't care about the truth, right?
well,
And maybe Murray
Well,
in whatever
well,
strange way.
look at the videos coming out of Pollywood, like the Pollywood videos where they're like we've been hit by a miss by a cruise missile. It's like, no, you don't. A cruise missile would completely destroy the building and not just
Oh,
leave a tiny
that doesn't
tiny.
matter. Everyone lies. Everyone
But
propagandizes.
yeah, I know, but, like, I don't have to sit there. Like, I don't have to sit there and listen to either side's propaganda and go, "Oh, the poor dead Palestinian children." It's like, oh, you're both full of shit. Shut the fuck up. Like, that's the thing. Like, Dave just espouses actual Iranian, actual Hamas.
Why do you hate Iran?
Why do I? I don't hate Iran.
Okay,
I don't really
because
care. I mean, I just
I have
don't.
a
I
high
mean,
affinity
I would.
for
They
Iran,
would still
but
be heavily bombed just for saying death to America, because no one's allowed to.
dude, have
No
you
one
seen
is.
my Twitter? I've said death to America like 50 million times at this point.
Yeah, but like you're Canadian.
My reasons are a bit
But,
different.
but like you're Canadian. That's just like a younger brother saying, "I don't like you." It's like, okay, Timmy. Okay, eat your vegetables. That's how you Canadian. It's like America this and like America that. It's like England scolding America. It's like bad son. It's kind of funny.
Anyways, point is, it's like, like I would just like to fully pull out of the Middle East and just see what happens.
I
It'll be
want to go.
horrible. It'll be bloody, but like some kind of like
That is the most
settlement has to be reached.
to be fair, that's the most Anglo thing you've ever said. Should we draw some like completely arbitrary lines too?
No, but
Just
no, the same with Africa too, right? Like, I would like to see, right, what would happen if we just left the third world to its own devices for like 50, 60 years.
no.
Cut off foreign aid, cut off this.
I got a better
See if they
idea.
can sink or swim.
The only way you're allowed to go there, like as a tourist, is you have to live stream yourself like IRL streamers.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they make it like an I2P.
It's like, I guess for me, right? Like my primary concerns are with my country, right? And my people, and then I have a certain affinity for the Americans and for Europeans as well. And I'd kind of like to see the whole kind of white Western world get into a better, more traditional kind of state of being.
Oh,
and if we're entangled in all these kinds of things,
wait, the Balkans are white now?
I just said Europe. The Balkans, what?
So the Balkans were white.
The Serbs are white.
Oh yeah, sure. Of course, you would say that. You Serbian?
I'm not Serbian.
Oh wait, Hopper was Serbian. No, wait, he's Croatian.
That doesn't matter. I mean, I think I say Russians are white. Ethnic white Russians are white. I know you.
I thought they were Asian.
Whatever. No.
Or Georgian.
What are the Finnish to?
I've confusing.
I've never met a Georgian, so I can't speak.
They're pretty. They're actually surprisingly pretty white. Armenians are kind of questionably white.
I've known a few Armenians in my day, and they look like kind of Spaniardy in a way, but they have fair eyes. They have like kind of bluish or greenish eyes. So they're cousins. I wouldn't say they're completely excised from
Okay, what about Sicilians though?
Aren't they Arab?
No, they're actually not Arab. They're just like Sicily has always been. They've always been like. It's funny people always say that, but they're all. What about Turks?
Well, I guess my question is this, right? If I go to a Sicilian neighborhood, am I going to be raped? Am I going to be robbed from? And if I have a meal, will I contract sepsis?
You're probably just gonna be nothing's gonna happen to you because the Sicilians are kind of I don't know, from what my Italian friends who live in Italy say, they're kind of lazy.
Okay, so they're like the Spaniards then. Like my thing is this, right? It's like, okay, yes, there's certain biological blah blah, sure, cool, right? But like, am I gonna go to a place and like risk being stabbed, raped, or dying of dysentery, right? Sicilia probably not, right? If I do that in say India, all three of those could happen within the course of an hour, right? Probably. If I go to China, probably you could die of dysentery. It's bad. Some of their food's pretty bad, right?
Yeah, they got.
But if I go to Japan or South Korea, I'm gonna have a good time. It's not gonna be this horrendous.
Well, to be fair, like if you go to some parts of Romania, you might get stabbed.
But those are gypsies.
No, those are Romanians.
Those are. And to be fair, where
they really like stabbing people.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna go to Transylvania anytime soon. But like the point is, the worst aspects of Romanian culture come from the gypsies, and the gypsies are Indian anyways. So like the worst group living.
No, the Indians are actually worse than the gypsies. Like I've met some like Romani who weren't bad people. Sorry, gypsies, but I've never met an Indian who was a nice person.
Well, it's probably because the Romani or the Gypsies have been like
That
bred with Europeans after centuries. So
I mean, like Indians are just the worst. The show is like good 30 minutes. The show is dedicated to hating on India. I do hate
but
India.
but the thing is, well, do you deal with Indians on a daily basis?
Not really, but like you'd be surprised. Is like I got back into construction management. Of like yeah, I've
Yeah.
I've done some like projects for like the Jews like I've dealt with like they just will try to find creative ways to not pay you. The Indians will just like the Jews will at least agree to the initial price, and then you start doing the work. Then they'll try and not pay you. The Indians will try and haggle you down on the initial price, and then keep trying to haggle you down as you're doing work for them.
Hmm.
Like so, if you're ever doing business with Indian, just give them a higher price, and then just drop the price because they like to think they're getting a deal when they're not. You basically
Hmm.
you basically use their own logic against them. Very Indian logic.
I see.
So yeah, I've dealt with
Um,
Indian. The Pakistanis are the worst. I've
yeah,
also
because
dealt
they
with
have because they have the view that they have all the foibles of the Indians, but they also believe they're like superior because they're Muslim.
the only people I've never had a problem with are the people from what's the one ethnic group that is like most of like where you get like Pakistan where it borders Afghanistan.
Oh, they're like the Khalij people, or they're almost white looking,
Yeah, the
like the white Indian. I forget what they're called. It begins with a K, I think.
Kashmirs, the Kashmirs.
Oh, well, I'm not thinking there's literally a
There's like
people.
yeah, there's a bunch of different ethnic groups in India that the Indian government violently oppresses, then complains about racism.
Are the Kashmir
Uh,
Hindu?
no, wait, what do they call the main ethnic group that's in Pakistan? So I say in sorry, Afghanistan.
The Pashtuns.
Pashtuns, the Pashtun. I've never had a problem with Pashtun people. Very nice people. They very, very nice people. Very welcoming people. Very
Oh yeah,
generous
they're
people.
fairly white looking, eh? The Pashtuns.
They're actually more closely. You'd say they're more closely related to Persians or
Oh
Armenians,
wow,
really.
I
But
spelled it right. Where can I? I'm gonna send this image to you.
you can send it through Discord or the private chat.
I'll send you to the private chat. Take a look at these people. These are people of India too as well. Um, they're the Khalij,
Oh yeah, I know about the Khalij.
and
They're
some say they're descendants of the ancient Greeks that conquered the region, or just the Aryan
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
invaders who
they do look
uh,
very Greek. Do look Greek.
yeah.
But the the
And the
point I'm
Pashtuns
making,
look very interesting.
well,
Hmm?
they're very nice. They're very nice people. But here's the thing: they still shouldn't be in my country. But that's who makes up the majority of the
No, and I
Taliban.
concur. Yeah.
Like, but the
Of
thing
the
is that
Pashtun?
yeah, the Pashtuns are the main fighting force of
Right.
the Taliban. Most of the Taliban leader, almost
Right.
actually all Taliban leadership is Pashtun
Hmm.
because that's what the Taliban ultimately is. They're an Islamic Pashtun nationalist group.
No, it makes sense.
And yeah,
Oh yeah,
see,
and there's also the Kalash people too. Have you seen them?
there's a lot of ethnic groups in India. We just like the
No, but
people who.
these people are like gingers though.
Yeah,
Look
I
at that.
know.
Yeah, the
I
Khalij and
know.
the Kalash.
I
Yeah.
am full. Yeah, the Kalash people, because again, all of these they're very small, but India actually treat every negative thing you can say about America that we supposedly do to minorities, which we don't.
Ooh.
Not as if we did it, it would be a bad thing. They do that in India. So like Indians literally treat the Kalash people. There's a few other groups. It's funny. All the tiny smaller ethnic groups in India. Want to know what every single one of the liberation groups is? You know what the philosophy is? Guess.
What? What?
Okay. What do you think that a small ethnic group's philosophy would be in Asia.
Oh, it'd be an import to foreigners.
No. What would be their actual philosophy? Come on, you like it's Asia. Most of these like liberation groups were founded in the 30s and 40s.
Well, I don't. What would it be?
They're all Maoists.
Oh, really?
They're all like India has like a bunch of Maoist terrorist organizations trying to get liberation for the people. I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
They also don't
Well,
like
but it makes sense, though. I guess like you're gonna probably side with the first group that
they
that
don't like the
offers you something.
CCP because they think they've turned away from orthodox Maoism.
Right. No, well, that's a a known thing.
Yeah. Also, apparently, Trump is also now a Maoist. I was reading this Washington Post article where Trump is called MAGA Maoism. I'm like, well, there's MAGA communism, there's MAGA Maoism, and someone can start MAGA Stalinism.
I mean, I just have I see no value in Maoism.
I don't either. I mean, Maoism probably one of the worst aspects of communism.
Yeah. I mean, the further it went east, the worse it just degraded and became more human.
No, actually, back when Nate was still on this member of this podcast, we actually talked a lot more about Judaism. I do actually see value in Judaism.
In what respect?
Oh, I just like it. I mean,
what about it particularly?
I think Kim Jong-un's dad is actually correct when he said the working class is the driving force of human history, and that when you're in a revolutionary state, that the ultimate leader of the revolution should be in charge, and also the country should strive to build as much stuff as humanly possible, and that every nation's struggle is ultimately different. What works for something else.
I would say that revolution, these things are more directed by the top down.
Not really.
And I mean, no, it is because who's directing the population? The people are current that has to be directed and steered by the elite and by those in charge.
Okay,
the people alone are nothing.
So Hitler was the son of a mid-level German bureaucrat and was a laborer. So
Hitler was a great man in history, and he could build around him an elite cadre that could usher himself into power.
Most of the German elite hated his guts.
Yes, but he founded a separate elite. How many of the old German elite? Because the old German elite had been essentially disenfranchised and disempowered after the Treaty of Versailles. Like their whole thing, they essentially lost, and their power had been limited by that.
Founding an elite is just being a charismatic speaker. I'm a pretty charismatic guy. So if I can get like 1,000 people around me, I'm now part of the counter.
It's by attracting competent people to you, who you can persuade of your ideas.
You're pretty competent, and so is Matthias.
But I've never aspired to leadership.
Oh, so I'm not in charge. I'm definitely.
Why would I want to be responsible for the souls of millions of people?
No. I said I'm in charge.
Why would I want to take on the burden?
I was making a joke about myself. So I am part of the counter elite.
Or you're influencing that counter elite. That's how I always tried to kind of position myself.
I am the counter elite. Bow down, Bapsfield. Listen to the autistic weirdo. I am the counter elite. So is Chris Chan.
No one's gonna follow Chris Chan. No one's gonna die for Chris Chan.
I honestly think he could form a pretty effective cult.
I mean, if that weirdo Andrew Stay could get a weird followers after his death, I guess anything's possible. But you're not going to affect any actual political change or anything that way. So.
Oh wait, you mean David Stay, the guy who played Mandor in the Phaser show?
I'm thinking of the weirdo who worshipped the ghosts from Danny Phantom.
Oh, you're thinking of Cold Steel Cruz.
I don't know. There are all these weirdos who are idiots.
The weirdos tend to blend together.
And they do. Anyways, but
Uh,
Anyways, the point is, it's the anyways. And the thing is, like Hitler himself, he'd proven his mettle in war. He was like a war hero 4 times over, 5 times over. How many
yeah,
times he
yeah.
had the Iron Cross?
No, he
Like
only had it. He only had it once. He had like the Iron Cross, I think, first degree.
but he had a few. He had a few
Other
awards.
medals.
Like he was a noted war hero. He wasn't just like some random schmuck off the street writing, garbage. Like Hitler was a great man. He was a war hero.
He was
He saw
actually
this.
he was actually a Fed.
He saw this floundering political part. Yeah, he was a French plant. That worked out well for the French.
He was
I've seen those kinds of things, but it's like
So when you're talking to the glow, you should be nicer to the glow niggers who are in your organizations. They'll probably fully turn them.
well, that's the meme, eh? It's like, oh, my FBI agent, laughing at my memes.
Yeah, it's like my FBI handler. I mean, at
Yeah.
one point, when I was in an organization, they were convinced I was a Mossad agent, and then they like kicked because they thought I was like damn. I was like, damn, I got promoted. It's like,
I was
fuck
at
you.
I was at a protest once with a group of friends. We were just there to kind of like have fun. We weren't really But these guys came just like, oh, you guys, you seem like trained. You're doing military hand signals and stuff. Like, what are you smoking, man? Like we're just here, like we just
Oh,
came. We
should.
took a bus from university to just
You,
be here. But
you and your group
I don't
of
know.
you and your group of university trained political so nation nation so your backstory is very elaborate. You created a fake crying baby. You got this you're secretly working on behalf of the Canadian. What's the Canadian equivalent of the FBI?
It's the RCMP.
The RCMP. You're an RCMP agent. Like, I'm
Well,
sorry,
no,
but your racism comes to the end.
I would be CSIS because if since you're American, I'd be dealing with foreign agents. So yeah.
Yeah, so they should. I'm gonna show up and like, where are the guns? Like, sorry, this is CSIS. You're under arrest, I'm sorry, apologize. You're not allowed to commit terrorism,
I mean, jokes aside, I think CSIS is actually a fairly serious organization.
Really? Why are the Chinese basically allowing to be run roughshod over Canada?
I mean, in the same way that traders can be allowed to run America.
That's a good
It's
point.
just that America's too big to be sold out directly to another power. But I'm sure if it was
Actually, yeah,
possible, you'd have traders who would.
I mean,
I mean,
Canada
you see,
isn't your country? Isn't Canada's bigger than the U.S.?
yeah, geographically, but not population
Yeah,
wise or
you're right.
power
You're right. You
wise.
guys are just because most of your land is uninhabitable wilderness.
No, it's just that there's been America's always been better developed than
You
we have
know,
been,
you know,
and we've been able to
mass
attract.
immigration from like European countries to Canada. Like, if you actually did have mass immigration from just like white countries, you actually could make increasing Canada's population to like 200
We
million
could.
would
No,
actually
no,
be a good thing.
no, it would be, but it's like Canada's always been harder to sell than America because there's far there
You have
America
less
as a whole, it's
farmland.
further south. No, we have farmland for days. Like it's not an issue with that. It's just like
You-
we're further north than you, and the climate's
Okay, so
more
what you
difficult.
need is you
So
just need a lot of Russian and Eastern European immigrants and Ukrainian immigrants. Just get a large amount of Ukrainian and Eastern European immigrants.
and you see, that's an article I've wanted to write this article too for a few years. It's
Is that
called the
like the one
Ukrainian.
time? Is that like the
It's
one
called
time?
the it's called the Ukrainian occupied government. And I was going to talk about how Ukrainians have a disproportional influence over Canadian politics.
Oh, soon you're all gonna be start walking around with really stupid haircuts and doing weird sword dances.
I mean, again, I don't hate Ukrainians, but I do feel that
Oh, you
they're
see,
they're
you're
not.
hating on me, baby, hater.
Well, I mean, how do you know? I don't have Ukrainian heritage myself.
I mean, I do, but like it's been such a long time since my family left that. They left there like when it was
Sure,
still the Russian Empire.
right. Like the point is, right? Canada, primarily Anglo-Scottish ruling class, and then you have the Quebecois, the French deal with, right? That's kind of our ethnic kind of, pull, right?
Well,
And
can
then
we
if you
send you
bring in,
back
you know, a few,
the Acadians because they're very weird, and I'm convinced that they're planning something.
no, the Acadians are mostly assimilated into. That's the thing. Like, there's this. Well,
Assimilated,
you don't.
assimilated into American culture. Sure, sure. The
A
Acadians
lot
are
of them, they have, like, especially the Quebecois, right?
this-
Because when the Quebecois like migrated within Canada itself, they retained their Catholicism and they retained the French language, which is why we have Quebecois or French Canadians living in, like, British Columbia and Alberta and the territories.
I mean,
Because
yeah,
when they
they
move, when no, but when
migrate.
they moved, they considered Canada still to be their country, right? So they retained all their culture and everything. But when the Quebecois moved to America, well,
They
it was a
they
new
they, they,
country. So they learned the language.
they moved. The Acadians moved to America totally of their own volition.
They got what they deserved.
Oh
Like, well,
yeah,
I no, but but that's the argument I made. Like,
I
like the
honestly think
expulsion of the Canadians was a legitimate, thing. Like, it's not
we
good. It's not morally
I
good.
I
I'm not saying it was
100% to
like
say Canada would be better if the French would have won that war.
no, because the French became a republic.
No, I don't
Wh-
think the
And,
French would
and
have become a
Canada was
republic. At that point, France was an absolute monarchy, so they would add more money, and they would have. Actually, no, then America probably would not exist because that was. Then the French would have found
actually, no,
no.
you're right. No, you're right. You're 100% right. The French should have won, and it should be French North America, and then America won't exist.
No,
Perfect.
America
That's
would
perfect.
probably still exist. Like America, the British would probably just have tightened their hold on North America.
Well, it would have been you would have like monarchist French North America and then monarchist British
Well,
North
they also
America.
controlled most of Central America, Central North America as well.
Well, that was more the Spanish too, because like you didn't really
They
take.
really didn't even control. Like you know how America just got Florida. We just walked it. Like we just walked there and said we're taking this. France is like Spain's like we're
Well, it
not
was
gonna do.
Spain. Florida was
Spain's like
Spain.
we're not gonna take. We're not gonna do anything.
Well, Louisiana, you bought Louisiana from Napoleon.
Yep, it was a great deal.
He's like the best deal. He's a fantastic deal. We bought
That was one of
Alaska.
our
We bought.
best presidents. He doesn't get enough credit for buying Louis. Well, there was another president who also greatly expanded America during the Spanish-American War. Liam Polk. Polk was a great president. Liam Tate. Polk. Polk is an underrated American president.
It's good to know.
But yeah, the whole thing is that North is that I need to. You ruined this podcast, Nation. By the way, you ruined this entire episode. I had like a whole thing planned. I was like, I don't want to watch that. I was like, fuck you. It's like
I mean, I would have watched it. I mean, I watched it all yesterday, like at 2x speed,
I
because
watched it
people were
at
talking
4x
about it on
speed.
Twitter. Yeah.
See,
Like people kept talking about it and posting things on Twitter. I was like, okay, well, I might as well just watch this stupid thing, and it's like, okay, whatever. It didn't really enrich my life.
you know
I
what?
mean,
Did you watch it while painting your Warhammer? What do you play as Warhammer? What do you play in Warhammer?
I just more like particular models and different I like to, I don't know. For me, it's more about like I like the lore, so I have the books and such, and I like certain aesthetic. So I'll pick up a box here and there, but I'm not actually like building an army. I mean, how many? I don't know anyone who can actually play Warhammer with, so it's not so much the game aspect of it that
Oh,
I enjoy.
you don't like a cool like guy like that one guy who got kicked out of a tournament. You probably get kicked out of a tournament. It's like, what are those symbols all over your models? Like, done nothing.
The Knights of Byzantium, baby.
You wouldn't like do the Austrian painter route.
I'm not gonna put swastikas. I was on my my Warhammer.
See,
mini
I
thing.
just do it because you know if you put swastikas on things or walk around with a copy of Mein Kampf, you just meet so many fun people, and then people just get lucky. He's like, yeah, I'm a Nazi. They're just like, okay, like people just stop trying to. I have like this old like uniform from this one organization, and I just walk around town sometimes in it, and people just give me weird looks. Like, who's that guy?
I mean, I guess I can't say that I haven't done similar things, but
Yeah, like your not the time you hung out at your college dorm with a bunch of yeah, do a swastika flag party.
yeah. But the thing is, like, it was mostly not. That was interesting.
That was interesting. And
Or the time where I had my non-white friends all listen to William Luther Pierce. Pierce.
to be fair, like I've also done that.
Mm.
Like
Oh,
I've
that's
also,
like
just hang like your typical hard white friend group. It's like at least one Mexican guy, one melt.
they weren't even hard right. They were all normies. Like, and they might not even been they might have been my friends more adjacent to me, but no, we had a good time. I don't know. It's like,
I don't know. I was watching babysitting one of my friend's kids, and we were. I was like, I was showing like a 4-year-old like the greatest story never told in George Lincoln Rockwell speeches. Why do we need to watch Teletubbies? We're watching this. He liked it. I'm corrupting. You could even say like I am grooming the youth into being Nazis. I don't care. I have your children, in the words of Adolf Hitler. You will be gone, and your children belong to me. I fully support. I fully support people knocking out the liberal parents in the future American Reich. You didn't know what nation. I feel like you ever seen like those anti-Trump ads where they make Trump seem cooler than he is. I feel like the people who make like the cool Trump edits, they're just working for the DNC as like a side gig, making
well,
those
remember
ads.
that they made that animated one that was like fantastic.
Like I'll see if I can find it. Like, what's it called?
Yeah, I'm probably have to go in the next like 10 or so minutes, but if you can find that video was like great actually. I just remember like he's like dancing in the end. He's like a giant. He's like dancing over the buildings. It was like fantastic.
Donald Trump Nazi DNC attack ad. It's like such a great ad. I don't know. I'm just getting DNC. It was such a great ad. It's like,
Or the one where there's like a giant Trump mech in the border.
yeah,
Like that was a good one.
I can't find it, but it was such a great ad. It's like all religious minorities things.
Well,
The rat.
I'm looking at that. I'm looking that up now. I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, the rat detection system. The like it's like this. It's like I want to be in charge of creating the non-patriotic detection system. Like that's be my new job. Like, yeah, what are you doing? It's like I'm so just installing these detectors that detect anti-MAGA thoughts.
I want to find the video. Yeah, I'm sorry. I found like a guy talking about it.
Ugh. Yeah, it's like surprisingly, it's really hard to find all these like political attack ads. You think like there'd be a compilation, but no, they always they want you to forget they ever happened. But they were.
Can't.
I mean, I do like the Lincoln Project one where they compare him to Stalin. I'm like based. It's kind of
compare him to Stalin. That's
they
kind of
basically say he's a Stalinist. Like it's like to be fair, like I fully could see Trump be like unironically, I fully could see Trump being like a communist leader. Like it's like I'm telling you, folks, these people, they're these bad hombres. They're stealing our surplus value. We need to overthrow the capitalistic system. The workers, I know workers, the best workers, the greatest workers. This is my friend John. He's a worker. He's the best steel worker. We're going to build a big, beautiful factory. We're gonna have you're gonna have the full value of your labor. The bourgeoisie will sell us the rope to hang themselves. The best rope, the greatest rope.
Yes, that's the best. Sure. Well, I can't find the video. I tried the hardest I could.
Yeah.
I even asked Grok, and no luck. So you win some, you lose some.
Well, I'm gonna let you go, Nation, because I actually have to. I have to go find where I put my suit pants for Palm Sunday tomorrow.
Yeah, I got business to attend to as well. So,
Okay, kiss your daughter good night and go take care of your totally real daughters. I'll see you next week.
and you have a good one too, man.